My 3 biggest failures in business in the last 12 months. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 3 biggest mistakes that I've made that have cost me time, have cost me money, and to be honest, have probably cost me a few grey hairs as well. You may remember on previous shows, I've gone in all guns blazing on will writing, on building a network, on having a remote team and an office that is absolutely miles away. Well, all of those have been huge mistakes. They are all areas that have failed in my journey and in my business. But I'm an entrepreneur. I don't walk into the ring thinking I'm going to lose the fight. I try, I learn, I pivot, I adapt, and I take consistent action. If you never take the action, then you're never going to learn what is going to work and what is not. The biggest thing in business is trying, is not fearing failure, is giving something a go. All in the side of generating leads, increasing sales, maximizing profit, helping existing clients, bringing in new product arms, new income streams to diversify the business to make it more future-proof, giving more people an opportunity to work within your business, to make sure that you can remove yourself more so from the day-to-day operations. Now, I wanted to clarify my key 3 areas for you because I have had to say no. I've had to learn when to pull the plug, letting go in order to be able to grow. When you're putting time, energy, effort, brain space into specific areas that isn't getting a direct result, then it's not a case of cutting it off. There is a big difference between giving up and letting go. And I believe that a skill of a business owner, of an entrepreneur, as a self-employed person, is to know the difference and know when the time to pull the plug is. Giving up is that image that you see on social media of 2 people digging for gold. You know, the person at the top is around about 50% of the way down the tunnel, halfway to the gold, standing there with his pickaxe on the floor. The person underneath is literally an inch away from the gold and is walking back to the beginning. You know, giving up when you're there, realizing that you've just not got the energy to carry on through. Whereas letting go is understanding that something isn't serving you, that you're putting a lot of time, energy, and effort and thought into something that just isn't working. You know, flogging a dead horse. It's not going to be efficient for you to carry on doing so. It's knowing that it is not serving you in a way in which makes your business better, your client relationships better, even making things easier for your team. I love the Plato's law of you get 80% of your results from 20% of your effort. And that was where I got to very recently, looking at what I had done over the last 12 months and just realizing that I wasn't giving up, but I had to let go of 2 or 3 areas in order to be able to move the business forward and to bring the team closer together and to add more focus into what we were doing on a day-to-day basis. So as I mentioned, we've done podcasts before and videos before about how amazing will writing is. Now, I still believe that as a financial services firm, if you have a team that buy into the idea of selling a fee, arranging a mortgage, upselling the life insurance, the critical illness, the income protection, doing the home insurance, offering the solicitors, then the logical choice when somebody is making the biggest financial decision of their life, will writing is an area that needs to be taken into account because the risks of not having a will are huge. The challenge that we had trying to implement this into our business with an employed will writer, but with a self-employed team of advisors, and maybe you can relate to this too. Advisors are very precious over their clients being their clients, making sure that that relationship isn't hindered, making sure that the sale that they are making for the mortgage or the insurance isn't affected by somebody else that they're referring to. So I often find from working with hundreds of advisors, not just the ones in my team, and this is not disrespectful to anyone at all, but it's something for you to think about in your own business journey. If you're not willing to pass your client on to a will writer, to a financial planner, you know, someone who can provide an additional service that is highly beneficial, then are you giving the best advice to your client? Consumer duty is now a huge part of the relationship and the advice that we have to give to clients. And it's important that you understand the need to refer to other people and to build relationships to add longevity to your business. Now, I take full responsibility for not implementing this in the right way to my brokerage, where all of my advisors are self-employed. What should have happened in hindsight was getting the advisors all together, introducing them to the will writer, doing lots of training and one-to-one calls with those advisors, building the relationship from the advisor to the will writer that we brought into the team, making sure that they were comfortable with how the will writer was going to transact within that process. What I tried to do, which was a mistake, was force it upon my team to try and get them to refer without having built a relationship. Now, you'll feel more comfortable referring your client to somebody that you know when you have that understanding and that relationship with them, that they are going to speak to the client the way in which you want. They're going to communicate with the client with you the way in which you want. They're going to liaise with you and provide the relevant feedback. But much like an estate agent and mortgage advisor relationship, much like a mortgage advisor and a financial advisor relationship, it really is based upon communication and understanding of the lead quality, and the introduction has to be superb. The person referring that piece of business has to be bought in to why it's suitable for their client. And we didn't make that a big enough thing within Active for our advisors to buy into the importance, and equally to make sure that they understood why our advisor was the best one to be looking after that for their individual clients. So having looked at the time invested into the will writing area, speaking to our advisors to trying to get the referrals, and then training the will writer and building the systems and trying to set up the new department, looking at that time invested, looking at the 80-20 rule, it was an area and a department that we just had to close down. We've now partnered with a much larger firm externally, where we get a typical introducer fee, and everything that I've just said to you has been a case of our advisors speaking to that firm, going through a bit of a role play, understanding everything that they're doing, and leaving those people to do what they do best. Alternative for you is to consider bringing in a really experienced will writer into your team, and potentially making sure that you just roll that out in the best possible way. You need your team to be bought into the idea first. Hey guys, do you know that TikTok is no longer a channel for kids? You can get a massive amount of how-to content on there now, and I try and provide my own educational content, actionable, so that you can go and put it into practice immediately. So if you're on TikTok, then make sure that you come over, find me on there, and I look forward to educating you further on generating leads, increasing sales, and maximizing profit. The second thing is the network. Active Network was launched. It was a goal to bring in much larger firms who were looking for compliance support, who were fed up with the old way of the mortgage broker world working, taking a percentage share of your revenue, controlling the systems that you needed to use. Over the course of the last 12 months, we've spoken to in excess of 100 advisors, ARs working for other firms, looking at ways in which we can try and bring people to our network, selling advisors on why they should change their network. And here's the thing. The biggest realization from those conversations is you don't want to be sold on when you should change network. An advisor wants to move network when something's gone wrong with the current one. If something's working and doesn't need fixing, then you can't sell somebody on moving. It's aggravation. You've got to create new agencies. You've got to learn new systems. What if the grass isn't always greener? And although I believe we had a fantastic offer, it was completely different. It would have revolutionized the mortgage industry. People don't want to be sold on changing, on moving, on looking for a different umbrella to have their compliance support. So again, looking at the time, energy, and effort involved within the network side of things, trying to launch it, setting it up, coming up with the right products, having multiple conversations, and ending up with one or two potential ARs. It got to the point of letting go of that particular area and going all in on what we are absolutely fantastic at, which is taking an advisor, a registered individual, or an AR that isn't performing particularly well because there's not much support from the network, working with those smaller firms of one or two people, an advisor with their own administrator, and helping them to double their income. Showing them how to generate leads, utilizing our systems, our automated emails, our text messages, giving them more time to focus on clients. Knowing what your value is and doubling down on that area begins to see much faster results and a greater happiness within the team as well, because everybody's doing the things that they love and not trying to constantly push for more. So we are doubling down on bringing solo advisors, registered individuals, self-employed people, 3 months plus experience in the industry, right the way through to sort of 4 or 5 years. Have been a couple of advisors that we've recently taken on, who all you want to do is earn a great living, have really superb systems that make your life easier, save you a huge amount of time on uploading documents to the network and all of that jazz, but just mean that you can bank 200, 300 grand a year relatively easy, retain a high percentage of that commission. And if you're one of those, we would love to work with you. The third and final point was my team. You know, when I built my business that I absolutely hated, I had an office full of 15 people. I had no manager. It was all responsible to me. I realize now that I wasn't a particularly good leader. I was very military in my style. And when I started business all over again in 2016, when I got over the challenges of generating leads, using social media, banking lots of business, you know, in 2017, my goal was to stop advising, to build a team that were remote. I didn't want anyone in my office. You know, and in 2019, when Sally joined living in Wales and then Andrew joined living in Gloucester, you know, it was fantastic. I could refer my leads over. I didn't have to do much management. You know, it was just me and my PA and my marketing person still in the office. We did have a trainee advisor for a period of time as well. And I achieved that in 2019. Now, we did go through a couple of years of the pandemic. And in that time, you would have heard me mention before that I moved my head office 3.5 hours away to Evesham. And we had a team of 6 people in that office. But the challenge was sitting down and having a conversation around a table. Impossible without one of us driving 3.5 hours. When there's a problem and something that needs to be troubleshooted, you need to sit around a table. Zoom's great, but you lack the communication and the conversation. Everyone starts talking over each other and it becomes a real challenge. So when we brought the head office back to Chelmsford in the July of 2021, I brought an operations manager in place. He and I have built a fantastic relationship. We've started to now build a team of people in the office, my PA, my videographer, my graphic designer, my soon-to-be sales executive, our part-time bookkeeper. You know, we've got a real team vibe. We've got a real team feel. We've got a culture. We're building a relationship to help our clients achieve more, mentally, physically, financially, to improve their lifestyle, to provide exceptional training, to provide exceptional systems. And we're all a team of high performance that are working together to get more done. And I underestimated the power of that. I don't have to be based there all the time because I have Jack in place. I have Camilla in there. They are well bonded and all have specific roles. Problem that I had in external team was them not being brought into the vision, mission, and values, was trying to get a generalist rather than an expert. Now I've recruited and brought internally, it's looking at, you know, the 3 to 5 KPIs and 3 to 5 specific tasks and actions that I want them to fulfill. And that's made life so much easier when it comes to planning, to documenting, to building a business, and really giving me more time to focus on the bigger projects and having that bird's eye view, thinking on the business of where we're going to go to make the next million. So that's my 3 final points for this year. Looking at not giving up, but letting go, bringing your team closer to you rather than thinking remote. It makes it so much easier to train, and not being afraid to fail. If you never try, then you're never going to succeed. You know, in football, if you don't shoot, you don't score. You have to try these things when it comes to the will writing or the network area, but you have to give it 3, 6, 9, 12 months and not be afraid to let go when something isn't working. If you've had an experience of something similar and you're fearing letting go, or perhaps you have let go, then let me know in the comments below or send me a DM on social media. I'd love to know what hasn't worked for you, because it's in the failures that you begin to get closer to your successes. Thanks very much indeed for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I look forward to your feedback. Remember, now's the time to become pro.